order to achieve sustainability. Today, we will be discussing a particularly important topic, cash flow management in uncertain times. It is no strange news that businesses are being affected by the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, irrespective of their sizes and their location. To remain afloat in business, it is imperative that measures are put in place, especially to sustain cash flow, even in uncertainty. I would like to reiterate that our focus for this year's webinar series is strategies for business survival. And this is because we know how critical it is to keep your businesses going, even in uncertain times. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Adobe Ume. I am the team lead economic analysis, Wider Perspectives Limited, and I will be your host today. Co-hosting with me is my colleague, Onyekachi Udensi. Onyekachi Udensi is the team lead special projects and conferences, Wider Perspectives Limited. She leads the team that facilitates the firm's SME forums in Abia State, in Akwa Ibom, and in Rivers State. So Kachi will be, she's fondly known as Kachi. So you might hear me refer to her as Kachi while we proceed. So Kachi will be co-hosting with me, and you may see her once in a while during the session. So to ensure that we have a productive experience today, we have established some housekeeping rules. So I'm going to be sharing the housekeeping rules now. So these are the housekeeping rules that have been established to ensure that every participant has a very conducive experience throughout this webinar today. So firstly, we have the chat room. The chat room has been enabled. So if you have any questions to ask, you can kindly send your questions to the chat room, and they will be collated, and we will ask them during the webinar when it's time to ask questions. Then also, we know that we have this challenge of internet connectivity in the country. So we would recommend that all videos should remain off so as not to disrupt connectivity. Then also, it's a webinar. I'm sure all of us, we all came here attending this webinar to be able to learn one or two things that could help us in growing our businesses to sustainability. So it is imperative that we listen actively throughout the session. And also to bring to your notice that this session is recorded, is being recorded. So the recording will be available. If you require it, we can send that to you. Then also we have, it's it's a discussion. It's not a teacher-student training. It's not a training. It's a discussion session for us. So it's we recommend that you participate by sending your questions or your contributions through the chat room. And also to let those who are watching us live on YouTube and Facebook, just to let you know that we'll welcome you to this webinar, and to also let those that are with us here on the Zoom app that we are also live streaming on Facebook and also on YouTube. So these housekeeping rules are those that we have set up to ensure that you have a very productive experience. So before we proceed, we would like to recognize the presence of the Managing Director, Wider Perspectives Limited, in the person of Mrs. Edugom Hansen. Ms. Edugom, can you please say hello to our participants?
It's good to have you all here. You're welcome to this webinar. And we believe you will have a very productive time. The recording is on Facebook, will be on Facebook, on our Facebook page. So you can feel very free to get the recording from there. And we believe you have a very productive time today. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hansen. Just to reiterate, she is the MD, Wider Perspectives Limited. And she's an economist with over 15 years of business consulting experience. Okay, so proceeding, undoubtedly, sustained cash flow has proven to be the lifeline of every commercial business. In running a business, there are situations that you cannot control. An example is the fate of the economy. Those are things that are beyond our control. We cannot influence them, rather, we'll have to manage. So the COVID-19 pandemic has negatively impacted the economies of the world. And businesses are actually bearing a huge part of the shock and adjusting to be able to survive. A recent survey conducted by Faith Foundation in partnership with Budget Nigeria on businesses across the nation showed an overwhelming 94.3% of businesses surveyed being negatively impacted upon by the pandemic, particularly in areas of cash flow, sales, and revenue. This is a huge percentage. And the survey further reports that 13.2% of these businesses have enough cash flow to run their businesses for 1 to 3 months. 33.3% had cash flow to stay operational for 1 to 4 weeks. Then 27.6% had cash flow for just 1 to 7 days. This is a very critical situation. Most of these businesses have turned to their cash reserves to be able to survive this period, while some are looking to access loans and others looking for financial support from their family and friends. From these figures, we can deduce a significant number of businesses may not be able to survive this pandemic. And that is the truth. No matter how hard or how pessimistic it sounds, the truth is that some businesses may not be able to survive this pandemic. So if we want to remain in business, we cannot shy away from dealing with uncertainties. The current global situation calls for a different approach and thinking, and we need to ensure that our businesses do not fade out with the pandemic by setting measures towards the sustenance of business cash flow. To give more insight on how we can better manage our cash flow, especially in this period of uncertainty, we have our key discussants for today. Our key discussant is in the person of Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo. It's in the person of Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo. Mr. Abiola is an engineer. Hello, sir. Okay, that's his video on there. You can see his face. Mr. Abiola is an engineer by profession and a member of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, Nigerian Society of Engineers, and the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN. He worked for Modern Industries Limited, Kano, as a trainee production engineer. For Total Nigeria PLC as branch sales engineer and head sales engineer. He also worked for Eternal Oil and Gas PLC as commercial manager, for Eternal Industry Limited as plant manager, and later became the MD CEO Akon Petroleum PLC as executive director operations. And he is presently the chief consultant of Ifara Global Resources Limited. Mr. Abiola has over 35 years experience in downstream oil and gas industry. He has hands-on experience in all facets of industry, spanning manufacturing, sales and marketing, technical services, and product application. Also, he has diverse exposure in the operations of multinationals in the downstream sector in France, in the United Kingdom, in South Africa, Belgium, and Nigeria. He is truly a seasoned and versatile and experienced chemical engineer. Mr. Abiola is a member of the Lagos Country Club and he is happily married. So before we go into the webinar, the discussion proper, we are going to be launching a poll. A poll has been set up and the purpose of that poll is to get a glimpse on how you have been coping with your cash flow since the pandemic started. So The polls are going to be launched now. Kindly click on the options that relate to you and send us your feedback. It will just take like 2-3 minutes for you to do that. So please, if you can check on your screen, you would see our poll. Oh, thank you. The poll is now up. Kindly choose what option relates to you or your business, and please send your feedback. Thank you. Okay, you can start sending in your feedback. Thank you. Okay, they are trickling in. Thank you. Okay, we're receiving your feedbacks. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're still expecting some responses. Okay. Okay, so far we can see that most of our participants on this webinar are of executive positions and also managerial positions in the organization. That's good. Okay, we have some professional technical staff, and we also have some of administrative positions. Okay, everyone is well represented here. That's a good sign. Thank you. Okay, from the response we're getting here, we can see that for most businesses participating in this webinar, you would rate your cash flow below average. This is a cause for concern, and it further addresses the reason why we have organized this seminar to be able to enlighten each and every one of us on how we can better manage our cash flow to be able to still remain in business despite the disruption caused by the pandemic. Okay. payment from clients and customers, the most difficult aspect of cash flow to manage. Interesting. Okay. Most resources at this time is being allocated to marketing. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, I can also see that a lot of people are not sure if they have areas of wastage in running their businesses. Okay. And also, it's obvious that a lot of businesses are already deeping into their savings to remain afloat in this uncertain time. Wow. Okay, we were able to receive 69% votes from the participants of this webinar, and that's above 50, so it's acceptable. To be able to proceed, as we are concerned about time, meeting up with time, we are going to be ending this polling, the poll now, so that we can go into the discussion proper. Thank you for your time. All right, thank you. So proceeding, we are now going to go into the main thing for today, our discussion with Mr. Abiola. So if you have any question that you would like to ask, kindly make use of the room chat, the chat room. Kindly make use of the chat room and send your questions. We're going to take your questions one after the other as the discussion begins. Thank you. So let's get this discussion going. Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo, welcome, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. So we are discussing cash flow management in uncertain times for this webinar. So I would like to ask, sir, talking about cash flow management, is there really cash flow to manage currently? Are people actually, is there really money? Is there really finance to manage currently? Incoming funds to manage? What do you think about the situation?
Well, thank you, Ada. I first of all thank you and welcome everybody to this webinar. You gave us a good overview, and you cannot be emphasized as the subject of today is very germane to the state of affairs, not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. Even under normal circumstances, pre the pandemic, managing your cash flow remains a key element in managing a business. So this becomes more imperative in the situation we are in now, in that the environment is very volatile, unpredictable, ambiguous, and complex. So far your business is still existing. You have not gone bankrupt. You have not shut down. So cash flow remains a key element. And as I said, given the situation we are in, is even more important. Pre-COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses have standard operating procedures. But in an uncertain environment and complex one we have now, you cannot really follow your standard procedure if you want to survive. You have to take, each day as it comes to be able to sustain your business. And managing the little fund, the little cash you have is even more than critical. Prior to this COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses do their cash flow maybe on a monthly basis, quarterly or yearly. But you cannot afford to do that now. You must have a laser focus on your cash management to the extent that depending on the level of activity, you may have to do it every day. But worst case scenario, at this point in time, you have to do it on a weekly basis. I mean, if you look at the definition of cash flow, is cash coming in and cash going out in a business enterprise. And you always want the net position to be positive. If you are negative consistently, then the going concern of your business, we have a question mark on it. So the bottom line is that cash flow management remains a sine qua non any day, anytime, insofar you have a business that you are running. And as I said earlier, you cannot overemphasize the importance as you speak. Because if you mismanage it, it will either make you or break you. And you don't want to be broken. So you have to be hands-on. The other thing is that when things were normal, I mean, pre-COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses, well, depending on your size, you tend to delegate authorities in terms of managing funds. But at a point in time, you cannot afford that. It's a luxury. You have to concentrate cash management. In fact, it's the MD that has to take charge. So that somebody, because the MD has the overall view of the business and knows all the, the pinch points, so that somebody at a lower level is not making some decisions that will impact the business adversely. So, and as I said, do it at once, quickly, if your activity is high, on a daily basis, and at least you keep afloat so that you are not caught napping. So finally,
saying that cash flow management is very
is key, is a given insofar as your business is still existing. Whether the situation is normal or it's abnormal, it remains so.
Okay, sir. Having been assertive that cash flow management is very, very important in every business, even at this period. So what major cash flow challenges do you think organizations will have at this time?
Well, if you look at most businesses, in fact, all businesses, you have what you call working capital cycle. Perhaps you sell your services or your products on credit, or you get credit from your suppliers or whatever. So if you look at the cycle, it's probably much more elongated now. Maybe before you have a 30-day cycle, everything runs smoothly. But now there are all sorts of issues. The company, I mean, the supplier is having issues. Your customers are having issues. I mean, the whole environment is uncertain, as you have said. So to that extent, you may end up with elongated working capital cycle. And to that extent, if not well managed, it can also break or make your business. If you look at the key elements of working capital, is inventory management, account receivable, account payable. Those three elements has to be, focused on individually, so to optimize and take advantage of opportunities therein. You look at inventory, for instance. If your products are tied down in your warehouse, you finish product this time, you cannot push to the customers because there's a lockdown. You may be in trouble. The other thing is that for your creditors, they want their cash right now because they also follow, I mean, they have their own stress. So, I mean, those three elements have to be managed very prudently and aggressively. So if you can find a way to tackle those three elements, then you should be able to stay afloat, even though things are bad. But as you said during your introduction, there are just some businesses that there is no magic that you can apply. You will go down, you have to go down. You just have to bite the bullet. That is the reality of where we are. But let it be seen that you have done your best. That don't go down without fighting. And it's those that can fight that will be able to survive. So the challenge is huge.
Okay, sir.
And it's
So
global.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So you are saying that credit management is very, very essential as organizations are experiencing cash flow challenges.
Yes.
So looking at this, strategic businesses are those businesses challenges. So looking at the situation now, in what direction do you think businesses should be looking at if they want to maximize available opportunities? And for real, are there actually opportunities out there?
Yes, there are opportunities. The fact of the matter is that human beings always have wants and needs. Even when you are locked up, wherever, you cannot move, there are still wants and needs. And it's for those who can be ingenious, who can think differently, that are able to tap those opportunities. There are various examples now of businesses that are remodeling their business to stay afloat, because to follow the whole procedure, you die a natural death. Perhaps you are not online, or you are partially online. This is the best time to migrate online. And if you look at it, there are even some businesses now that are thriving as we speak. Those that are in delivery business, they are booming because customers are locked down, as I said, and they have needs and services. They need to survive. So you should be able to deliver products and services to your customers and clients wherever they are, even in their house, wherever. It's just for you to find a way. So opportunities are there, and it's for those who can see or who can analyze the situation properly that we really thrive.
For those that are just joining us, we are discussing cash flow management in uncertain times. And we have our key discussant, Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo, answering to our questions on cash flow management. So please, the chat room is open. So if you have any questions with regards to the subject matter that we are discussing, you can send your questions through the chat room and we would ask the key discussant. So thank you very much, sir. You've been able to establish that there are actually opportunities. So now a lot of businesses are struggling with getting funds, with running their business, working capital to still keep their business running. So, and it's like everyone is looking for every opportunity, anywhere I can get funds, anywhere I can get just to grab and put into my business. And a lot may be tempted with selling off their assets to be able to get some working capital to keep their businesses afloat. So would you advise selling off assets at this time to meet cash flow needs?
I think every situation has to be taken on its merit. You don't need to take a rash decision because you're under pressure. The fact of the matter is that you have to dissect the situation properly. If the asset is excess to your requirement, perhaps you've remodeled your business, well, maybe. But if you still need that asset to keep going, it doesn't make sense to sell it. What you have to do is to look at options in the market. And there are options. You know that even the government is aware of this, the constraints businesses are going through. To that extent, for the medium and small scale enterprises, the CBN of Nigeria has put down 50 billion naira for businesses to tap into at a reasonable interest rate. In fact, it's 5% maximum as against the over 20% that you get from other sources. So the thing is to think logically and look at all the opportunities that are available. And as you are aware, it's not only in Nigeria, because this thing is global. If you look at what Germany is doing, the way they are pumping money into the economy, just to assist businesses, same thing in the US, all around the world. Government is trying to assist business, at least for them to survive. So that if you need loan or whatever, there are help all over the place. So that don't be in your silo or have a tunnel vision that there's only one way. There are many ways. It's just for you to look properly. And if you have challenges, there are consultants who can guide you properly to tap into the various opportunities in terms of funding for your business. So you just need to reach out.
Okay, so in essence, you are advising that it's not necessary to sell off assets to be able to get working capital.
Well, as I said, what you need to do is to assess where you are. Do you still need that asset to keep going? Or have you remodeled your business to the extent that that asset has become excess to your need? If that is the case, well, all well and good, you can sell it off. But if you still need that asset to keep running the business, it doesn't make sense for you to sell it. It's to look at other available options so that you keep your business going.
Okay, just to reiterate what he said, he's asserting that we should be able to evaluate the importance of our assets before we consider selling them off to be able to make some money for our businesses. So now you talked about the various options, like you mentioned some options, alternatives to raising funds for the business. And we know that a lot of people are also seeking funds, seeking external funding for their own business. Now, businesses are currently struggling with their cash flow. Would you advise struggling businesses to go out there and seek external funding? Bearing in mind that when someone gives you a loan, when a financing institution gives you a loan, you are expected to pay back principal plus interest. So for a business that is still struggling to meet up with cash flow, would you advise that business to go out to seek external funds, like loans?
Well, again, you have to look at your situation properly. What are your objectives? You are not taking a loan for its own sake. If you are taking a loan, no matter how generous or the terms of the loan, you need to prepare a business plan, because nobody's going to throw money at you. They want to see your business plan. What are you trying to achieve? You want to see the cash flow, which is a key element of that business plan. So it's from that cash flow, the people will assess that, look, okay, this is a viable proposition. and to that extent, you get the loan. But if your business plan, even you yourself, you know that this business plan can fly. If you cannot fly, there's no point giving it to anybody. So it's in the business plan that, you know, all the red flags will be shown. And it's for you to have resolved those red flags before you approach anybody to give you a loan. I mean, the CBN 50 billion naira I talked about earlier, you see, you have to show some projections, some plan. Otherwise, anybody can go there and just get the money now. So what I'm saying is that you have to justify why you need that money. You know, if are you still doing the business the whole way, well, okay, put it in the business plan and everybody will assess whether it will fly in the new uncertain environment we are in. If you have restructured or remodeled your business, it will also show that, okay, right, this is a viable proposition and you get the loan. So it's to really sit down and do a proper business plan for you to access any loan. And it's not only in Nigeria, I think it's universal. to get a loan,
yes, it is.
you need a business plan. So in there, you state what you are trying to achieve. And your cash flow in the business plan will show whether you have the ability to pay back. That is the fact of the matter.
Okay, sir. So what you're saying is that businesses can actually seek funds, external funding at this period, but they need to ensure that they have a business plan, a well-detailed business plan that will be able to guide them on making a decision on what particular funding option they should go for. So that's to reiterate what he just said, to make emphasis on what he just said. To our participants joining us from YouTube and from Facebook, please note that you can also send in your questions. Just put in your questions in the comment section of the app, Facebook or YouTube, and your questions will get to us and we'll forward them to our key discussants. Thank you. So we have some questions here. The questions are trickling in. We have some questions here, sir, from a participant. And the question reads, what is the first step in writing a business plan in these times? Because the usual format for business plans will not apply.
Well, since you are asking that question, I mean, whoever is asking the question, it means you are not sure of yourself. What I will advise is for you to get a consultant to assist you to put a business plan in place. Because at the end of the day, you are not a Mr. Know-all. It's your thing is just to run your business. You have an idea that you want to go into a new market, expand your business. There are consultants, if you don't have them in-house, who can guide you through. As you said, these are unusual times. So these consultants have vast experience and they bring it to bear to guide you properly and put up, as they say, a bankable business plan.
Okay, just to add to what you just said, sir, as consultants, Wider Perspectives Limited, we actually develop business plans for companies, for SMEs, and for large organizations. So, there are key information that need to be in your market analysis, your financial analysis, your organizational and your technical analysis. Those information are supposed to be contained in your business plan. But when it comes to the format, you can't say this is a format for a business plan. The format of your business plan depends on the nature of your business. So I hope that answers your question to the participant that sent in the question. Thank you, sir. So we have one more question here for you, sir. And the question reads, yes, I need some money for my business and I have some stock shares I can sell, but the values of the shares have dropped, which I don't admire. Kindly advise when to sell these shares.
Well, that's an interesting question. The fact of the matter is that if you are in the stock market, you are not supposed to be in the stock market for a day or 2 days. It's for those who play long. You are going to be in there for several years. That is people who can be there 5 to 10 years, so that you don't go and sell off when the market is in a bear mode. Unless you are pushed to the wall completely, you have no other option. I will not advise that to sell shares. To probably it may be at a serious loss, as you have mentioned, or rather you should hold it and look at other options. The CBN 50 billion naira is waiting there to be tapped in. Have you looked at that area at a maximum interest of 5%? And the requirements are very liberal. So look at the other options first. Unless those ones don't work, that you can now look to sell off your shares. I'm also in the stock market. I don't sell, it's in there. I follow the strategy of Warren Buffett. That's where when you buy a share, if the market shuts down for eternity, you will still remain in the market. If you are thinking that you want to sell it, then you should not be in the market, actually. But as I said, if push comes to shove, if that's the only means of survival, well, you may just buy the bullet and do it. But it should be your last resort. Look at other options available first.
Okay, to the participant that sent in that question, our key discussant, Mr. Kalesanwo, advises that you keep those shares. Don't rush into selling your shares. Explore other options or other financing options for your business before you consider selling off those shares. So that's the advice from our key discussant. Is it advisable? A lot of organizations have their budget for the year already planned and all that. So is it advisable, considering the situation now, is it advisable for organizations to adjust their budget to guide their cash flow activities, or continue running the existing budget set for the year? What would you advise, sir?
The fact of the matter is that all businesses are in a survival mode. The budget you prepared pre-COVID-19 pandemic may no longer be realistic. That is the fact of the matter. Well, it is possible that you are in those areas that opportunities are staring in the face now. Maybe you need to review the budget upwards. But generally, most businesses are in survival mode. They are not even thinking of the budget which they prepared when things were normal. So the budget is neither here nor there at this point in time. You are thinking of survival. So don't have a fixation that you have prepared a budget, you must follow it willy-nilly. The thing is that see how you can keep your business afloat and be pragmatic and tactical, as he said, so that you'll be able to see through this pandemic era, because it's not going to live for eternity. So the budget is not cast in stone, as they say. If it's not realistic, I mean, by all means, prepare another budget to suit the situation you are facing, rather than having a fixation that you must run that budget at all costs. It may not be realistic. So the budget
Okay,
is not really, it shouldn't, in fact, it shouldn't be an issue as you speak.
okay.
This is how do you survive the uncertainty you are facing. That should be of concern to you.
Okay, so your emphasis is you're emphasizing that businesses should be more concerned with surviving the pandemic than adjusting their budgets. But if the situation calls for adjusting, they can also adjust their budget to suit the situation.
Of course, yes.
But more focus should be on surviving the pandemic. Okay, thank you very much, sir. And we know that there's actually cash shortfall this period for most businesses. Because we know that there are some businesses that are actually thriving in this period. So for those businesses that are struggling because they have short. So what we know that there is this saying that you need to put in money to get money. So what areas would you recommend businesses to invest in despite the cash shortfall situation? Because they need to put in money to be able to get money. So what areas would you advise?
Well, the immediate one that comes to mind is if your business is not online, I think it makes economic prudency for you to migrate online, because that is how you can reach your clients. And if you don't have the infrastructure to be online, you need money to do that. It's a chicken and egg situation. You've seen that your product and services are still needed. It's only that you are not online. So you have to go through the period of pain to migrate online, because I don't think it comes cheap to go online, depending on the size of your company. So to that extent, if the opportunity is there to reach your clients wherever we are online, so be it. As I said, from the cash flow projections on the new online platform you are in, then you should be able to pay back the loan and even thrive. So it's because if you don't get the fund, you are never going to be online. And yet, you need to be online to reach your customers. So which one do you do now? So you have to find a way to migrate online. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
Yeah, so that is it.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to be taking some more questions from our participants. So I'll be going to the chat room to get some more questions. Okay, this is for online. For a business that wants to go online, for a business that wants to transit to the online platform, how will the business, what would you advise? What does the business need to do to successfully migrate online, successfully migrate to the virtual platform? That's a question from one of our participants.
Well, you have your own core competence area. There are those who are in ICT who will assist you, or you go to a one-stop outfit. Those are the consultants. They're able to guide you properly how to migrate online. Because the ICT industry is in fact one of the thriving industries as we speak, and it's because they are migrating a lot of businesses online. So they are quite busy, really. So if you want to move online, then consult an expert in ICT or reach out to a consultant to guide you properly how to be online.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's very necessary that you get the experts the
Yes.
experts in that field to guide you in migrating to the virtual platform. Thank you for that contribution, sir. So we have this question here. How exactly will collaborations, partnerships work, especially for businesses that should be competing? Now we are supposed to be competitors, but the situation has called for collaboration and partnership. So how will that work for businesses that are supposed to be competing?
Well, the fact of the matter is that every business outfit has its strengths and weaknesses. So if you collaborate, I want to believe you are bringing your different strengths onto the table, and then you are synergizing so that you become bigger and tap into economy of scale. But the thing with partnership or collaboration is that there has to be mutual trust. And I'm afraid it's not as strong force in Nigeria, trust. So if you can trust your partner, why not? But that trust must be it must be on solid foundation so that you can partner and then go forward together. But because you can combine the two strengths, you enjoy economy of scale, and then the sky may be the limit, provided you don't break the trust.
Okay, so it's we need to actually look at the gains,
Exactly.
at what each party is contributing, than seeing ourselves as competitors. So the synergy is more important here than the competition. Okay, thank you very much, sir. We're going to take some questions from online too. Okay, I have a question here which reads, the most impacted sector seems to be schools. We know that the schools are not in session. They've not been in session for quite a long time now because of the pandemic. So how do you think schools can pivot to be able to survive during this lockdown and immediately after the lockdown? Like we have this, like, online schooling, especially at nursery school.
Hello?
And immediately after the lockdown.
Sorry, I'm losing you. Can you repeat that? Hello?
Yeah, I think the question Ada raised was how will schools manage their cash flow, especially with schools not being active now. For some schools, they are going on, they are online, they've gone online, but not all are so effective. How can schools still manage their cash flow despite the situation on ground?
Well, I know it's tough for education sector now, but even as at that, I'm aware that some schools are operating online in a, how will I put it, in a more personalized format, in a one-on-one arrangement, as against group lecturing. So maybe that's what they have to look into, because the fact of the matter is that depending on your location and the level you are in education, whether it's primary, secondary, or whatever, you have to structure it in such a way that you segregate those who can afford to be online from those who cannot. Because ab initio, some people don't even have the wherewithal to get a smartphone or have the system at home to run with. So unfortunately, those who cannot afford the infrastructure, the students that cannot afford the infrastructure to be online, will continue to lose out until the schools are able to go back. It's just the reality of what we are facing. But for those who can afford to be online, then that is your market for now, until school can go back and meet physically in schools. The fact of the matter is that some Nigerians, some students will lose out, not because they don't want to partake in the online studies, it's because they are constrained financially to put infrastructures in place to be able to, to be online and move their teachers. So schools have to be ingenious and dissect their student profile and know who can afford to be online. Well, maybe you serve those ones, and then if you can afford it, assist those who can assist to join, your online system. But if you cannot, there's nothing you can do about that. I think it's the government that has to tackle this on a more global format. Because at the end of the day, citizens have to be educated, because an educated citizen is a liability. So the government has a key role to assist schools and students to migrate online, because we don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. I don't want your citizens to grow up as illiterates. So it's government, I think it's government that has to come in here and look at the system, the whole schooling holistically, and propose solutions. School proprietors can only do what they can do, but it's the government intervention that is needed at this time.
Yes, sir. Talking about government intervention in schools, in education at this period, what sort of policies do you think the government should be coming up with now to support SMEs, given the impact of the pandemic?
Well, the government has started very well. The soft loan from CBN is both in India, 50 billion naira is a lot of money. So it's for you to find a way to tap into it so that your business is kept going. And I also want to believe that they need to give businesses tax holidays, because the fact of the matter is that they are not doing much now. So they want to bog them down with tax for a business that is just trying to survive. The other thing is that, as happened in some other countries, even government has given businesses money to be able to sustain their payroll. I'm not aware that it's happening here. We have to look in that direction. Otherwise, unemployment will hit the roof. The other day, the VP, Vice President, was saying that we may have as high as 35 million or 39 million unemployed Nigerians. That is huge. And there's no welfare scheme in place for these people to survive. So beyond the loan CBN is giving, government have to look at other directions in terms of really giving free cash to businesses that are registered, that have been filing their tax returns. There has to be a way to give them money just to keep on their employees until this pandemic blows over. And as I said, we don't know when it's going to blow over anyway. Some medical people are saying that COVID-19 is here to stay. So if it's here to stay, is it how we are going to be living forever? So the government needs to look critically in that area. there are wastages in government. We all know, we are Nigerians. So those wastages, let it be plugged, and the money should be directed to assist businesses to be able to underwrite their the wages of their employees. It's been done in other areas in the world. So why is it different here? That's what I think should happen. Hello.
Okay, so Ada, I guess Ada, it's coming on. There's a question from the chat room that with the global drop in oil price, what is the prospect in investing in the oil and gas business, especially the downstream, at this crucial time? And what are the financial implications of such investment? That's a question from the participant.
Well, the fact of the matter is that whether you like it or not, at least in Nigeria, the oil industry will remain very relevant. The green energy or the new energy is not widespread or pervasive in Nigeria yet. So we are still stuck in the era of using oil. The internal combustion engine or generators or whatever will still be running on petroleum products. So to that extent, the opportunity in there remains relevant until that time that we are living Nigerians. As we will see it when the oil industry will begin to experience downturn. But as we speak, the oil industry remains the backbone of Nigerian economy. That's just our reality. So to that extent, if you want to invest in downstream sector, so be it, because the market is there. Even in the advanced world, where they think they are ramping up their green energy sources or migrating to electric cars, they are still looking about 20 years away. 20 years is a long period. But definitely in Nigeria, it's going to go beyond 20 years. So the opportunity is there. There's still room for growth in the oil sector as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Okay, Ada, Ada.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Mrs. Hanson, I can hear you.
Okay, while Ada is coming up, one key question that has been asked also is, what are the steps? Are there steps that one can employ in managing their cash flow? Are there steps? Are there things that one needs to know? Are there procedures?
Well, there are no step per se, except that, look, if you go back to what cash flow is, which is cash coming in and cash going out of a business, what's your net position? So it's just for you to manage those two elements. As much as possible, you want to restrict cash outflow, while you are maximizing cash inflow. That's just it. Because if you remove the outflow from the inflow, that's what will give you your net position, which you always want to be positive. Is, this cash flow thing, even at an individual level or family level, is what we apply all the time. They say, spend less than you earn. so that at the end of the day, you have extra money in your hand. But if you are spending more than you earn, then you are heading for trouble. It's the same principle, really, the same philosophy that applies to cash flow management. Is to minimize your outflow and maximize your inflow. That's the step. There is no magic about it. It's not rocket science. That's what cash flow is all about.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So, Ada? All right. While Ada is still coming up, there are some few questions also on the group. All right. So how can one make money from organizing free workshop or training online? We're talking about cash flow. You want to bring in some cash to the business, but we're talking also that many businesses have gone virtual. How can one make cash or money from organizing free workshop or training online? It's a question from participants.
Well, you have to dimension your audience. What are their needs? For instance, now, Weather Pacific Limited is organizing this webinar to tackle an element that is germane to all businesses at this point in time. So you too, if you want to organize workshop or anything online, what do your audience need at this point in time? If you can identify a need and you have a repetition, because you can't just come online and say you have to, people will look at what is your antecedents. You know, I mean, you're not just to collect money and then you're not delivering the stuff. So you must have some antecedents before you begin to reap, you know, the benefits of the work you are doing in the past. And that's how it works. So what really do you really want to give to the audience? What value are you going to give them for their money? If you want to make money online. So what value are you giving to the audience in return? And what is your pedigree? What are your antecedents to back up, you know, what you are proposing that you can deliver to them? So I think that's just it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abiola. I believe Ada can come up now. Ada?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kalesanwo, for that insight. I have a question here for you, sir. We know that management is always at the realm of affairs, directing and overseeing the activities of every business. So at this period now, there is a disruption in the economy. And so how can management keep their team focused and productive in this situation? So people are dealing with a whole lot, family and all that. The pandemic has affected many areas. So people are dealing with a whole lot. In order to keep the business running, how should management keep their team focused and productive?
The starting point really is that you keep them safe to start with. We know that COVID-19 it does not discriminate. Both the mighty and the small are affected all over the world. So safety is key. So there are safety protocols that Nigerian CDC had listed. Are you following those procedures? You want to keep your personnel safe. Well, they are not safe. They cannot. In fact, some people will even abandon the job and say, "Look, I'd rather serve than die." So the starting point at this point in time is safety of everybody. Even the owner of the business too has to keep himself safe. So safety is the starting point. Thereafter, you look at the business, that the model we are running now, can we survive in terms of what we are doing? Do we have to continue doing it the old way, or we have to do it a different way? Well, most customers are restricted in movement, perhaps locked in their houses. So you look at how do you tweak your business to meet your customers wherever they are. That's the second thing to do. Then you have to also build the capacity of your team. Do they have, for instance, if you are moving online and they don't have the savvy to operate online, how do you run the business? So you take it systematically to keep going, really. But as I said, safety is fundamental to whatever you're going to do going forward.
Okay, so in essence, the safety, we know the pandemic, the virus is all about, the concern is all about contracting the virus from each other. So it's very essential that organizations, management put in measures to ensure that employees, to ensure that their personnel are free, they are safe, to reduce the rate of contraction, virus contraction between persons in the workplace. Okay, so what about virtual working online?
That's what I said. That comes to the second one. I said now you assess your current model. Does it suit the new environment, the uncertain environment you are in? Do you need to migrate online? That's why you have to restructure or tweak or remodel the business. So you have to move online, so be it. So maybe so that your staff can work from home, for instance. It's part of the safety we are talking about. You know, it's all interwoven. If your staff will be safe at home, give them the resources to work from home. So that's the second step I mentioned, that you look at.
So thank you very much, sir. So you had suggested earlier that government should be able to at least grant tax holidays to businesses in this period. We have a suggestion here from a participant, which is that government should stop collecting taxes from companies and individuals just for this year, instead of giving out free cash donation to businesses, which will make government or actually make government go into more debts. So a suggestion here is that government should give businesses 1 year tax-free year. So considering this suggestion, what do you think? Is this something that can work?
Well, it may work, it may not work. I can't I mean, it's government that have to look critically at what they can afford. Can they afford to do that completely? Because some businesses are really thriving. As you said earlier, you don't want to give those ones tax holidays. So we want to look at every business on its own merit and determine which one actually you need to give tax concessions. But for those that are thriving, I mean, doing well, there's no point giving them a tax holiday. And then the so-called free money is not exactly free, because you want to tie people over until they can reestablish or put their feet properly on ground for this trying period. That is what is happening around the world. If you know what Germany has done, even US, when they say there is free money, it's not exactly free money. If you are an economist you follow is a Keynesian model that when the economy is depressed or going into recession, government has to pump money in. And that is what exactly is happening. And I think you can see more in Nigeria, really. It is what Keynesian has proposed as far back, just immediately after the Great Depression, that's the way to go. And that is exactly what is happening now. Don't think Germany or US or other European countries are just throwing money for. No, it's an economic theory that has been proven that is workable. So you cannot be another on our own unless you have our own economic theory to follow. So
okay, so there are certain things that the government.
It's not really giving free money per se. You are not just giving anybody. You are giving businesses. This is my payroll. I cannot keep. You look at a business on its own that you think can still survive and keep people employed. Don't forget the social costs. If people are unemployed, it's dangerous. You have 35 million people unemployed. How are they going to survive? That is you can cause massive social upheaval. The money is where you don't have. When the crisis comes, you still have to manage it. So why don't you spend it upfront so that the social upheaval does not arise? It's not easy, but it's doable. That's the fact of the matter.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And I think we also have to consider that taxation is a source of revenue for government. So doing that tax-free for all businesses for a year, well, government will have to consider a whole lot of scenarios before they can decide on that. So I think it's left for government to do that, but we can suggest that to the government. So we have the next question here, which says, where should, okay, sir. So we've been able to answer some questions and all that. For those that are just joining us on this session and even on live on Facebook and on YouTube, we are speaking with Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo. He's our key discussant on this webinar, and the subject of this webinar is cash flow management in uncertain times. So you can send in your questions. We're also considering time. You can send in your questions so that we can ask the key discussants before we round off for today. Just to inform our participants that there will be a second poll that will be launched towards the end of this webinar. And the second poll will be an evaluation of the webinar. So please kindly stay online, and your feedback will be very essential. We need your feedback to be able to do better in future webinars. So, sir, thank you so much. You've really given out a whole lot of information. You've really transferred knowledge to participants here. So we'll currently send this poll now. Can we please launch the second poll? The second poll will be launched now. So, sir, as this second poll is being launched, what advice would you give? What advice would you give to SMEs, to not just SMEs, MSMEs, and large organizations on taking control of their finances in uncertain times? What advice would you give, sir?
Well, the advice is not far-fetched. It's what we have been talking about. Manage your cash flow. Have a laser focus on cash flow management. Don't delegate or give authority levels. Concentrate cash flow management into one person, maybe the managing director at this point in time, because he has the overall view of the business. and do the cash flow management on a daily basis. If your activity is high, weekly at worst. Don't wait 1 week, 1 month, it may be too late. Manage your cash flow. Is a life and death situation, so that it's always positive. That is, when you net off the outflow from the inflow, you only want it positive. And with that, you'll be able to survive this pandemic. That, I think, is the takeaway from this webinar. Cash flow cannot be overemphasized. It is the life of any business at this point in time. So it's got to be managed very closely. As much as possible, slow down your outflows and maximize your inflows.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's like final words from our key discussant, Mr. Abiola Kalesanwo. He is a director, Wider Perspectives Limited. So we have just launched the session evaluation poll. Kindly take 3 minutes or 2 minutes of your time and give us your feedback on this webinar. The essence of this webinar is to be able to pass knowledge so that businesses will be able to thrive even in this situation of uncertainty. So it is our desire that by the time we get to meet the businesses sometime in months or in a year, we've been able to see that from the knowledge gained from this webinar, business managers, management, business owners have been able to take their business from this level to the next level. And the utmost aim is that we will still see all those businesses here still existing even after the pandemic. So we are hopeful that none of our participant businesses is going to fade off, and we look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to interacting with you. We look forward to doing business with you in the future after the pandemic. So please give us your feedback on this evaluation. And for more contact, I'll just put up our details, Wider Perspective details. We have our offices. Our head office is in Port Harcourt, precisely Aba Road, Port Harcourt, and we also have a branch in Aba, Abia State. So we operate from there and we serve the country in different capacities. We are a consulting firm, a management consulting firm, and we are dedicated, committed to business development. So it's our desire to be able to see our client businesses grow, and not just grow, but attain that position of sustainability where they can be self-sufficient and operate independently. So we provide a whole lot of services in terms of business development, pre-investment studies. We conduct pre-investment studies. We also are engaged in development planning, and we also mobilize funds for businesses too, for SMEs and large organizations. And we are also into recruitment. We can facilitate recruitment for your companies, and we can help you conduct organizational assessment for your companies. And we are also deeply involved in capacity building. And if you would like your organization to be engaged in corporate social responsibilities, you can count on us to help you facilitate that process. And most of all, we are a strategy business. We are facilitators. We help businesses to craft strategies and also guide them in the implementation of the strategies. So I'll just put up our address here. You can reach us on any of the contacts here, and we'll be glad to hear from you even after this webinar. So that is our contacts there, head office in Port Harcourt. And we have the phone numbers there, that of the managing director and that of the lead strategy, Wider Perspectives Limited. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook at Wider Perspectives Ltd, on Twitter at Consult Wider P, on YouTube on Wider Perspectives, and on Instagram WPL_conferences. Our website is www.widerperspectivesltd.com, and you can reach us through email on info@widerperspectivesltd.com. So we'd love to hear from you, would love to speak with you, would love to partner with you, and would love to do the results, the poll results. I'll just check that if we have. Okay, we have the session evaluation coming in. We have 65% of votes. Please take out your time and just, it's very easy to fill. It's very easy to fill. Please give us your feedback to help us work better, to help us serve you better in the future. So we'll just give some few minutes for the poll and then we'll round off. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. While the polling is on the screen, I would like to ask the MD, Wider Perspectives Limited, Mrs. Edugom Hansen, to please give a closing remark before we close the session for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of this session. We're happy that the feedback we're getting shows that you've actually benefited a lot. Thank you for your time. Thank you also, our director, Engineer Abiola Kalesanwo. Thank you so much for the wealth of experience and all you have shared. Thank you also, moderator Ada, and the great team, the back office. A lot of support from the back end to ensure this goes successfully. Well done. Thank you so much. At the end of this whole time we've spent here, the most important thing is to ensure that you actually put to practice that which you have learned from today. We do not want businesses to go extinct. As long as you are a going concern, you have cash flow to manage. So please ensure you manage your cash flow effectively to remain afloat, to ensure business sustainability. Thank you very much for your time. Our next webinar will be in July 21st. Like we had informed earlier, we hold these webinars every third Tuesday of the month. And we want to meet your needs. We want to have a discussion around your pain areas. So you can feel free also to share your thoughts with us. We have it all planned out, but we're also open to hear, to get your feedback. So thank you very much. We're very active virtually because that's what the world is now. We're virtual, not just the physical office. So you can always connect with us virtually as well as physically. Please do stay safe because at this time, safety is paramount. We've heard of the news and the feedback we're getting even from the high and mighty. So it's not just selective. COVID-19 is real. Please stay safe. You and your staff, your family. Thank you for your time today. Thank you so much, Ada.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hansen. She is the Managing Director, Wider Perspectives Limited. And on that note, we will be bringing this webinar to an end today. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to welcoming you in our next webinar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.